Every election, millions of Americans walk into voting booths believing their choice could change the future. Some wear red, others wear blue. For many, their political party has become part of their identity. Family traditions, personal values, religious beliefs, economic priorities, even friendships can be shaped by politics. The United States has many political parties, but for generations, only two have truly competed for power: the Democrats and the Republicans. Each claims to represent ordinary Americans. Each promises prosperity, security, opportunity, and freedom. Yet despite decades of alternating governments, many Americans still ask the same question: which party actually governs better? Has one consistently improved the country? Or has each simply solved one set of problems while creating another? To answer that question, we must look beyond campaign speeches, beyond headlines, beyond social media, and examine what actually happened while each party held power. This isn't simply a story about presidents. It's a story about economic choices, wars, technology, immigration, healthcare, taxes, national debt, and the changing identity of the United States itself. Some Americans believe Republicans create stronger economies. Others argue Democrats create fairer societies. Supporters on both sides point to statistics that appear to support their views. Critics point to failures, missed opportunities, and promises that were never fulfilled. Politics rarely offers simple answers. Every president inherits challenges created long before taking office. Some face financial crises. Others inherit wars. Some govern during periods of peace. Others confront pandemics, natural disasters, or global recessions. Success and failure are often influenced by circumstances beyond any president's control. That is why understanding history requires more than choosing sides. It requires examining both achievements and mistakes. In this documentary, we will explore 4 modern American presidents: George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden. Together, their administrations span one of the most transformative periods in modern American history. America experienced terrorist attacks, 2 major wars, a global financial crisis, rapid technological change, a worldwide pandemic, the highest inflation in decades, and increasing political division. Each president responded differently. Each left behind supporters and critics. Each reshaped America in ways that continue to influence politics today. But before examining the presidents themselves, it helps to understand the philosophies behind the two parties. Republicans generally believe that lower taxes, reduced government regulation, and free market competition encourage economic growth. They often argue that businesses create jobs, not governments. They typically support stronger border security, greater military spending, and a more limited federal government. Democrats, on the other hand, generally believe government can play an important role in reducing inequality. They often support expanded healthcare, greater investment in education, environmental protection, labor rights, and broader social safety programs. Neither philosophy is entirely new. Both have evolved over generations, and both have changed significantly over time. Modern Republicans differ from Republicans 50 years ago. Modern Democrats differ from Democrats of previous generations. American politics constantly evolves. As society changes, so do the priorities of voters. The question has never been whether either party is perfect. The real question is whether their policies have improved the lives of ordinary Americans. To begin answering that, we return to the presidency of George W. Bush. When America entered the 21st century, facing challenges few could have imagined. George W. Bush entered the White House in January 2001. America was experiencing steady economic growth. Unemployment was relatively low. The stock market had enjoyed years of expansion during the technology boom of the 1990s. Many believed the new century would bring continued prosperity. But history had different plans. Only months into Bush's presidency, the world changed forever. On September 11th, 2001, 19 terrorists hijacked 4 commercial airliners. 2 struck the World Trade Center. 1 struck the Pentagon. Another crashed into a field in Pennsylvania after passengers fought back. Nearly 3,000 people lost their lives. The attacks shocked not only America, but the entire world. For many Americans, everything changed overnight. National security became the country's highest priority. Bush addressed the nation with a message that would define his presidency. America would wage a global war on terror. The objective was clear: destroy terrorist organizations, prevent another attack, bring those responsible to justice. Within weeks, the United States launched military operations in Afghanistan. The Taliban government, which had sheltered Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda, was rapidly removed from power. Initially, the campaign received overwhelming bipartisan support. Most Americans believed military action was justified. NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time in its history. An attack on one member was considered an attack on all. America's allies joined the mission. But Afghanistan would prove far more complicated than expected. The conflict continued year after year. Military spending increased dramatically. Thousands of American service members served multiple deployments. Many lost their lives. Many more returned home with lasting physical and psychological injuries. The financial cost eventually reached hundreds of billions of dollars, and the war would continue long after Bush left office. Then came Iraq. In 2003, the Bush administration argued that Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein possessed weapons of mass destruction. Officials warned those weapons could threaten the United States and its allies. Congress authorized military action. A coalition invaded Iraq. The Iraqi government collapsed quickly. Saddam Hussein was eventually captured. At first, many believed the operation had been successful, but no stockpiles of weapons of mass destruction were ever found. Insurgencies emerged. Sectarian violence spread. Years of instability followed. Critics argued that faulty intelligence had led America into an unnecessary war. Supporters maintained Saddam Hussein was a brutal dictator whose removal improved regional security. Even today, historians continue debating the long-term consequences. The wars reshaped America's role in global affairs. Military spending climbed sharply. Veterans required decades of ongoing health care and support. Public confidence in government decisions began to decline. International opinion of the United States became increasingly divided. Some allies remained supportive. Others questioned America's foreign policy. Meanwhile, back at home, Bush pursued a very different agenda. His administration believed lower taxes would stimulate economic growth. Congress approved significant tax reductions. Supporters argued that allowing individuals and businesses to keep more of their income would encourage investment, create jobs, increase entrepreneurship. Critics argued the tax cuts primarily benefited higher-income Americans. They also warned they would increase federal budget deficits. The debate continues today. Economists remain divided over how much the tax cuts contributed to long-term growth. Bush also expanded education reform. The No Child Left Behind Act sought to improve accountability in public schools. Schools became increasingly evaluated through standardized testing. Supporters believed measurable standards would improve educational outcomes. Critics argued teachers became too focused on preparing students for tests. Some believed creativity and broader learning suffered as a result. While debates continued over education, another challenge was quietly developing: America's housing market. Banks increasingly approved mortgages for borrowers with weaker credit histories. Financial institutions bundled mortgages into complex investment products. Housing prices continued rising. Many believed they could only go higher. Home ownership reached record levels. Confidence remained strong. But beneath the surface, the financial system had become increasingly fragile. Then, in 2007, the housing market began to weaken. Mortgage defaults increased. Financial institutions faced enormous losses. Confidence evaporated. By 2008, the crisis exploded. Major financial firms collapsed. Lehman Brothers declared bankruptcy. Banks stopped lending. Businesses struggled to obtain credit. Stock markets around the world plunged. Millions of Americans lost retirement savings. Homeowners faced foreclosure. Entire neighborhoods were transformed by abandoned houses. Businesses closed. Unemployment surged. The crisis spread rapidly beyond America's borders. Financial markets across Europe and Asia suffered severe losses. Global trade slowed. The world entered its deepest recession since the Great Depression. Bush's administration introduced emergency rescue programs for banks and financial institutions. Supporters argued the interventions prevented complete financial collapse. Critics believed taxpayers were rescuing institutions whose risky behavior had caused the crisis. Public anger intensified. Trust in Wall Street declined dramatically. Many Americans questioned whether the financial system worked equally for everyone. By the time Bush left office, America faced one of the worst economic crises in modern history. Unemployment had risen sharply. Consumer confidence had fallen. Federal debt had increased substantially due to tax cuts, war spending, and emergency financial rescue programs. Bush's approval ratings reached historic lows. Yet many historians caution against judging his presidency solely by its ending. Supporters argue he united the nation after September 11th, prevented another large-scale terrorist attack on American soil during his presidency, expanded HIV/AIDS relief programs overseas, and maintained America's global leadership during an extraordinarily difficult period. Critics argue the Iraq War damaged America's international reputation. The financial crisis exposed weaknesses in financial regulation, and increasing debt limited future governments. Socially, Bush's presidency also reshaped American politics. Patriotism became more visible than ever. Flags appeared on homes, businesses, schools, and vehicles across the country. Support for the military reached extraordinary levels, but debates surrounding surveillance, civil liberties, immigration, and national security also intensified. The political divisions that characterize America today did not begin during Bush's presidency, but many observers believe they accelerated during these years. As Bush prepared to leave office, America stood at a crossroads. The nation faced recession, two ongoing wars, growing debt, and declining public confidence. Many voters believed it was time for change. That change arrived in 2008, with the election of a young senator from Illinois, Barack Obama.